Hi, I'm Tony Stolzfus, and this is Does Heaven Have More Dimensions Than Earth? So, if it did, how would we know? What do extra dimensions look like? And this is a difficult question, first off, because we live in a 3D world, actually 4 dimensions if you include time, and we're made to perceive a 3D world. Our eyes are three-dimensional, our ears are three-dimensional, they see three-dimensional sights and hear three-dimensional sounds. So there's a degree to which four-dimensional objects would be inconceivable, incomprehensible. We wouldn't know what we were looking at. So it's going to be weird in a certain sense. Another quality of objects with more dimensions than our 3 is that they would be indescribable. Our language is also made to describe 3D things because that's all we ever see. So you would have to end up saying, well, this 4-dimensional object or 6-dimensional object is like something familiar in our 3 dimensions. And that's exactly what John does in Revelation. In Revelation 4:3, for instance, he says, "And he who sat there appeared like jasper and carnelian, and round the throne was a rainbow that looked like an emerald." So things look like something. Hamios is the Greek word. They aren't that thing. It's not an emerald, but looks like an emerald. It's not a rainbow. It looks like a rainbow. The Bible is consistent when it describes heaven that it's doing it by analogy. So another quality of seeing extra-dimensional objects is they would tend to fry our minds. And that's what also happens in the Bible. When people see an angel, what happens? They fall on their faces. They're troubled, like Zechariah when he saw the angel in the temple when he was offering the incense. He was troubled, he was disturbed, he was upset. Another quality that we would see in extra-dimensional objects is mysterious, miraculous, supernatural. They're not natural, they're beyond natural. So this is from an article in Forbes magazine by Ethan Siegel. He gave 3 examples of what a 4-dimensional object would appear like to us. The first one is, if you were 4-dimensional, you could teleport from one place to another on Earth. Well, that's actually something that happens with Jesus' resurrection body. He's on the road to Emmaus, and all of a sudden he disappears. He appears in a locked room. He appears to 500. So Jesus seems to have this ability in his post-resurrection body. The second thing Mr. Siegel describes is you could perform surgery without the need to cut somebody open. And the idea here is you can pass through something without and be on the other side without actually going through it. So you could just be inside a bank vault, or you could be inside a locked room. That extra dimension gives you the capability of going through another object. So here again, Jesus' post-resurrection body, he appears in a locked room. He has that quality. And the third thing Siegel mentions is you could simply remove someone from the 3D universe they inhabit and plunk them down somewhere else at some later time whenever you wanted to. And this is kind of what happens to Philip. He's talking to the Ethiopian in the chariot in Acts, and all of a sudden he finds himself in another town far away. Those are some things that a secular author describes as qualities of extra-dimensional objects that we find in the Bible. One last quality of seeing something extra-dimensional is it would have unpredictable interactions with physical objects. So, for instance, the laws of our universe, like gravity and the laws of thermodynamics, are part of our universe. They're part of our 3-dimensional reality. So when an object with more dimensions comes in, who knows how gravity will affect it? And here again, in Jesus' resurrection body, you see him ascending to heaven. He can walk on the ground like he does on the road to Emmaus, but he also has the ability to ignore gravity and just rise into the heavens. So there are unpredictable consequences of how he functions with the natural laws. He can still eat a piece of fish. He's still physical in that sense, and yet he's also beyond physical. So that's what extra-dimensional objects would look like, and Jesus looks like that when he's resurrected. Let me give you a couple more angles on this question of, does heaven have more dimensions? And one of them is, I think heaven has more dimensions. It has to, because God has more dimensions. For instance, we believe God is omniscient. He knows everything. That's impossible within our dimensional universe. Information only travels at the speed of light. So it's impossible within our universe to know what's going on the opposite side of the universe until much later when the light gets there. But God knows all things when they happen. So God must inhabit a bigger dimensional space than just our universe in order to be omniscient. Here's another thing. He's omnipresent. He's always with us. And we can only be in one place at a time. So I can't be omnipresent. I can't be with every person, even in my family, let alone every person I know, let alone every person on earth. God, by inhabiting more dimensions, would be able to be omnipresent. He would have enough time, if he inhabits 2 time dimensions, to be with each person who's praying and hear every prayer at the same time. So I think the fact that God, to be God, has to have more dimensions indicates to me that heaven, therefore, has more dimensions. Another way of thinking about extra dimensions is, we talk about this all the time, the spiritual realm, quote unquote. If you think of the spiritual realm as the extra dimensional realm, it makes a lot of sense. In the miraculous, things can appear and disappear. People can get healed without, he can do surgery without without cutting the body open. So I think another good way to think about this is what we think of as supernatural, we could just as easily think of as extra dimensional. So those are some good reasons from Scripture that I think that heaven has more dimensions. It's in a bigger space than earth.